I'm sure most of you know that the First Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, and it's sort of the cornerstone of our concept. And it's one of the really unique things about the American democratic ethos is that we have this concept of free speech. Most countries around the world don't have it. Even other democracies don't have free speech rights to the extent that we do. And freedom of thought and speech and freedom of association are natural rights. Those are what the founders of our country believed to be rights that are God-given and not rights given by the government. They're inherent rights.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the VSO Gun Channel. Thank you for tuning in. It's great to be here as always. Real quick video today. That was Harmeet Dhillon in the intro speaking about the concept of the Bill of Rights. And I think that it's really important because she is the new Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Justice. Supposedly, what this position is supposed to be doing is going out there and investigating instances of government at every level infringing on the rights of American citizens. Going out, investigating those instances, and supposedly doing something about it. And my question is, what does that actually mean? And specifically, she is supposed to be heading up a new Second Amendment division as well. So I'm very interested in what that means, because that either is, one, a complete nothing burger that the administration will use to say that they did something when they didn't actually do something, or it has a chance to change the way that law is enforced, specifically gun law, in the United States for perpetuity. This video was brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. They are my go-to stop for all things medical. It doesn't matter whether you need something that just holds a bunch of Band-Aids and maybe some aspirin or something like that, or if you need an actual trauma kit. If you don't have a trauma kit in your house or in your vehicle, then I highly suggest that you go check our people out at Medical Gear Outfitters, and they offer all of you a discount. You can find all of that information over at the affiliates page and all the relevant places, and use that to great effect. So what I'm going to show you now is an excerpt from an interview that she did with Glenn Beck, where they specifically discuss the Second Amendment thing.
Aren't they also in the Bill of Rights? I mean, it's not like the president is saying, hey, we're going to ignore these rights. I mean, if your civil rights have been violated, the job of the Justice Department is to investigate it, find out if it's true, and prosecute if it's right. Doesn't matter who the president is. So,
First Amendment, I mean, you know, the new project I've got going in the Civil Rights Division, to the surprise of many people on both sides, is the Second Amendment. Who's protecting the Second Amendment in the federal government? Prior Republican administrations haven't paid a lot of attention to affirmatively doing that. But, you know, in the wake of clear guidance from the United States Supreme Court protecting our right to own and use firearms in most circumstances throughout the United States, city after city, state after state are eviscerating those rights. They're mocking the Supreme Court by passing laws that make it virtually impossible. Colorado just passed a law that is extremely onerous and imposes a financial burden on gun ownership. California is wink, wink, nudge, nudge, allowing you to apply for concealed carry in multiple places, and then they don't staff the departments that do the interviews. DC. I came here to DC. I have firearm. I'm a firearms owner. I inquired about the process. It's months before I can get an appointment with the chief of police or the police department to even apply to exercise my Second Amendment rights. Well, I'm exercised about that. I'm not happy about that, and I might be doing something about that. New York has a host of laws that are different in upstate New York and different in New York City, and they all violate the Constitution. So we will be working together to make this a focus of the Civil Rights Division, challenging state law that violates fundamental civil.
My question to you, to her, and the administration as a whole is, what does that mean? Does that mean that you are going to go and do some investigations into California, Washington, Oregon, New York, et cetera, and then come back in 6 months or a year and be like, hey, guess what, guys? I know this is going to shock you, but the state of California is infringing on people's Second Amendment rights. And we are going to go and file a lawsuit against California. We're going to stick it to them. If that's what that means, then I am so disinterested in this that I cannot express it to you, because ultimately what that means is that there will be no positive ramifications from this whatsoever. Ultimately, those will be lawsuits that will be stretched out for years until we find ourselves in a situation like the previous administration is, where they try to do some stuff and they got mired in the courts. And then it is getting dropped in some cases, right? So they find them. We initiated a lawsuit, and then we ran it for a little while, and then we found ourselves in unfavorable territory when the administration changes, right? That is a big risk, and I do not like that whatsoever, because ultimately, that's not going to do anything to the people that are actually there perpetrating those crimes against the civil rights of American citizens. That is not going to deter them one iota. Now, if that means that Mrs. Dhillon is going to investigate the state of whatever, find instances that she discussed, like the police chief or whatever is not staffing the department or not taking appointments or whatever, doing whatever they can to negatively impact people's ability to exercise their Second Amendment right. If she's going to go find those people and then prosecute them under color of law for violations of civil rights and put them in prison, well, then that's a damn good thing. I'm excited about that if that's what that means. But I am very skeptical that that is what that means, because this administration is very, very pro law enforcement. And what that means is that they will use statutes to pierce qualified immunity. And for those of you that don't know what qualified immunity is, I'll go ahead and throw that up on screen. And in doing that, they will weaken law enforcement in the United States, which I think is a fantastic idea, because quite frankly, I am sick and tired of these federal agencies showing up to people's property, harassing the crap out of them, which they also discussed in Glenn's interview, that the process is the punishment, and just constantly ruining people by just having this huge financial suck on their life by the Department of Justice or EPA or ATF or whoever it is hanging over them constantly. If that means that we're going to start a culture of deterrence whereby we generate a precedent of you violate people's rights, you go to jail, well, that could be exciting, whether we're talking about Second Amendment stuff or whether we're talking about First Amendment stuff like Facebook, YouTube type stuff. That's a big deal. However, I do not think that that is where this administration is going. Now, perhaps they will come out tomorrow and say, no, that's exactly what we're doing. In which case, I will be their biggest cheerleader, because the current culture that we have of we're just going to do a thing because we're in a position, we have immunity, nothing can be done to us, they can only sue us in our official capacity, that sort of stuff. If we are going after their ability to do that sort of stuff, well, that substantively changes the fight for future generations, and that is something that I will absolutely get behind. I would like to know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see another one here pretty soon. I need to go mow my grass before it starts raining.